Welcome back to the channel. It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and we've got ARK news to discuss, including the latest Community Crunch, the Extra Life Event, console release dates, and some wild details relating to Nitrado, and just how close this whole thing came to destroying ARK. Stay tuned for that one. It's late, so I'll keep the intro short. Thanks again for your continued support for my ARK uploads. In case you haven't done so already, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are of course greatly appreciated. Chapters are in place and available for a smooth and easy viewing experience. And let's get going with all the latest from ARK. Okay, let's kick this one off with some info I just found over on the Nitrado site while doing a bit of background for a later topic, and according to this post, the ARK Extra Life Event begins tomorrow, November the 4th, starting at 10 a.m. PST and running for 24 hours. Expect the entire thing to be broadcast on Twitch with giveaways, exclusive ARK reveals, and increased rates. Hold on, breaking news incoming. According to the official Community Crunch, which posted late this evening, the Extra Life event was just delayed from November the 4th to December the 2nd. Alright, I guess we're going to look into some different massive ARK news then. The console Windows release for ASA now has a release date, or it sort of does. For Xbox Series X and S and Windows, the launch date is set for November the 14th. This should be the latest version of the game and be up to spec and will launch directly into crossplay with the PC version. PlayStation is not so set in stone, as Wildcard is still finalizing all of this with Sony, but it is slated for the end of November. Yes, you heard correctly. It will be split out from the Xbox Windows release. Damn. On top of that, it still has no definitive date given. Xbox launch plans are as follows. Cross-platform with Steam will be enabled day one. A new set of official servers for PvP, PvE, and small tribes will be spun up with boosted rates for a set period of time, with the hopes of synchronizing the rates by mid-December. PlayStation cross-platform with Steam and Xbox will be enabled day one, so the same as the Xbox launch, just minus PlayStation. All the same plans for the server activations with boosted rates, along with an additional set of console-specific servers with higher rates, again synchronizing by mid-December. I know this has been a persistent question within the ARK community, and believe me, I wish I had better news. We were told all platforms launching simultaneously, no early access, and here we are with another 11 days until Xbox gets access, and no date, just late November mentioned for PlayStation. And believe me, I'm gutted for my PlayStation mates. Not the news you wanted or deserved. The Crunch mentions Sony by name, and this leads me to believe there were major issues within certification on that platform. Moving along, and the mini server and game changes are spelled out here in the Crunch. You've got server crashes, dino spawns, mesh exploits being fixed, which is good news for the PvP community with that one, and let me know if it has truly been fixed. Server RAM usage has been reduced, and an exploit allowing players to list unofficial servers as fake officials has been handled as well. Not mentioned here in the Crunch is that the cloning chamber has been re-enabled, and how certain commands allowing players to hide meshes has been disabled. So, again, not the ideal Crunch to be delivering on the 3rd of November. Certainly, there have been improvements to the servers and other items like exploits and bugs being fixed, but with the console launches being pushed back, and we've now got the Extra Life delay until early December, another near 2 weeks until Xbox is brought into the fold, while poor PlayStation is out there until late November with no exact date given. I mean, it almost hurts to continue on with the ARK news right now, but bonus rates on the official network started today through Sunday the 5th, 1.5 times on PvP and PvE official for harvesting, taming, experience, and breeding. Small tribes get 4 times across the board except for breeding, which is 3.5 times, and Arkpocalypse sees a 4.5 times multiplier, again across the board. As always, I will leave a link to the Community Crunch in the video description, but for now, we need to finish up with the latest from the Nitrado server rental fiasco, the statement from the CEO, and just how close this all came to going nuclear. And just to get you up to speed, in case you've been out of the loop, leading up to ASA's launch, statements were made confirming that players would indeed be able to host their own servers on their own equipment and with the server provider of their choice. Also, Nitrado was advertising lower server rental prices and lower slot counts as rental options. But this all changed the very moment Ark Survival Ascended launched. It was discovered that a DRM was put in place excluding players from hosting servers unless they wanted to host one through Steam tied to their account, but limited to this single map, leading to extreme headaches once the other maps were added. This would have required 12 separate accounts, all buying ASA, so that's hundreds of dollars to host the entire Ark experience once they all launched, and the entire routing would have just been a nightmare. Or you could take the easier option, which is what they wanted, and rent through your friendly server provider, Nitrado. And to be clear, Ark Survival Evolved was incredibly simple. You could set up and host without fees. There was no DRM in place. There were server hosting options, and that is until Marbus, doing business as Nitrado, absolutely crushed Snail Games, who were desperate for funds. Now, we won't go into all the detail right now, but you definitely need to go check out Nooblet's video discussing the failed electric car company saga. I mean, it's really entertaining. Link to his video in the video description, along with many other foolish financial decisions, and you get to a pre-Ark Survival Ascended launch Snail Games that is badly in debt. Enter Nitrado. Now, I exposed this financial agreement between the two organizations back in early August, which consisted of a rather large loan to Snail Games in exchange for exclusive server hosting rights for official servers for Ark Survival Ascended, but there was more, a lot more, which ended up boiling over last week when Ark Survival Ascended launched. We saw a new exclusivity clause in their server rental agreement, a DRM in place to exclude outside hosting. Gone were the lower, more reasonable server slot rentals with lower rental cost. Nitrado was going all in, jacking up the server rental cost, and it took a concerted effort from the likes of Netty the Noodle, along with the greater Ark community, all pushing back on Nitrado and their scummy tactics to enact change. Before I touch on a leaked internal message from Nitrado's CEO, it's important to understand just how damn close this agreement came to destroying the entire Ark community. So, not just Ascended, but Evolved as well. Buried in this original loan agreement was not only a clause giving Nitrado rights to hosting Ark Ascended, which we all know about, but there was also a lesser-known, call it secondary clause, giving them time-sensitive rights, all hinged to Ark Ascended's launch. If ASA had not launched by October the 31st on PC, Snail was contractually obligated to hand over exclusive server hosting rights to Ark Survival Evolved as well, and that includes private and community servers. So, again, your G-Portals and others would have been immediately cast out. Nitrado would have control of the entire Ark map, and I wonder how long ASE would have survived. How many players would have just thrown up their hands and said, F this, I'm out. Nitrado's server hosting agreement was and is still a freaking mess, with huge requirements for social media followers to just meet the minimum requirements to host your own Ark server. Or option 2, you could always apply to become a Nitrado partner and gain immediate access to server hosting, which, by the way, I will never do. And this all becomes much more clear when we get this leaked internal document from Nitrado's CEO, Raphael Stange, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, that hit Reddit earlier this week. And this one's special. And I don't mean special as in a good way. Stange makes a ton of bold and brash claims, claiming that Nitrado has better cards in the game, claiming the DRM was never intentional, which I'll touch on in a moment, and also stating that Wildcard and Snail would have never gotten Ark Survival Ascended across the finish line without that $4 million loan from Marbus. I mean, again, this is an interesting read for sure. As far as the DRM, there's a mention of the exclusivity and the server cost, which were not shared by the other providers, meaning that Nitrado was not willing to share in the spoils, as it was only their money being spent on the infrastructure, absolutely melting the argument that the DRM was all just an accident. Accident my ass. There's a bunch more here about unethical practices and how it is actually ARK content creators that are not partnered with Nitrado and therefore not making that sweet partner cheddar that are the biggest opponents to Nitrado's exclusive hosting rights. Netty the Noodle did a full response video to this Nitrado CEO statement, link in the video description, and I'm also going to include a link to this Reddit post for you as well. But for right now, I will say this, as someone that doesn't give a damn about being partnered with or not partnered with Nitrado, and by the way, I am not, I can add some clarity to this situation. Nitrado said one thing leading up to the launch of ASA and then launched with something completely different. A DRM was not accidentally added. It was there intentionally. Server prices were jacked up and the ARK community mobilized. They raised their voices and the EULA was changed and the server costs were then lowered. Nitrado got pissed and posted this internal memo beating on their chest, of course claiming absolute victory, but here's the long and short of it. We just want to play ARK with the smallest hassle possible. Nitrado went for the home run, they got greedy, and they got busted. And it was reversed for the time being, but this actually could have been lights out for ARK, especially if that deadline was not met by October the 31st. Sorry that last bit carried on for a while, but it needed to be said. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below about anything ARK related. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are greatly appreciated. All my socials can be found in the comments section below. Shout out to the nearly 179,000 of you that have stuck with me. And a special thanks goes out to my Patreon supporters and to those of you sending over those lovely YouTube super chats. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.